Hey, what's happening out there? It's Will Ripley here with Campfire Guitar Star. As you can probably tell, what we're going to break down is the 1960s classic Blackbird by the Beatles. Now, this is one of those acoustic guitar songs that so many people want to play, including myself, because let's face it, it's a super beautiful song. And also, here's the thing, is that there's so many lessons out there on YouTube about this that I don't know if this lesson will ever, rise to the top. However, I've been teaching guitar for a long time. I've known how to play this guitar for a long time, and I've got a way of breaking down this song that I wanted to make sure that you as a watcher and listener right here, right now, gets access to this. Because there's some recurring themes inside of Blackbird, especially with your picking hand. And once you get that pattern down, actually the song is pretty easy. Definitely there's some shapes with the left hand that are kind of out of your ordinary guitar shapes. However, once you get those memorized, and it's just really a memorization thing, and because it's really usually just two fingers at a time that are doing those shapes. Anyways, we'll go over the left hand, we'll go over the right hand. You'll see how once you get some of these patterns memorized, it's actually a pretty attainable song. So the very first thing here, and what I want to show you right away, is I've actually got this pulled up in this little program that I use, and I've got it slowed down to about 54%, and I just want to show you something right off the top. So let's just take a listen and you'll see what I mean. So this is right from the track. Okay, so it's on a loop and you can hear it there. And the thing is that in the tab that you'll find right in the description below, and I'd suggest that you download that so you can follow along with this lesson and just have an accurate tab to follow along with. But here's the thing, like in the tab, you'll see that it's broken down like this. So, and we're gonna just skip this part and go right to the good stuff here, okay? So 10 and 12, A string, B string, okay? First finger, third finger. So you can pinch that, and then it's always gonna be pinching those two at the same time to begin with, but basically these three strings, your A string, B string, and the G string, and sometimes you hit these two together. So once we get that down with your left hand, let's just talk about some ground rules when it comes to finger picking, and then we'll go over this pattern and exactly what's going on here. Because it's not exactly just straight up finger picking, it's kind of like he's doing a little bit of a brush stroke with his picking hand, which means that he's actually hitting more than one string. So anyways, we'll break it down for you here. It's pretty attainable, just stick with me. So the very first thing and the first ground rule that you got to get going on with your picking is to get this right hand stabilized. And I would actually recommend that you check out the live version of Paul McCartney playing this. And this was probably within the last 5 or 10 years. And you'll find you just search Blackbird live. It's one of the first videos. Now, he is a lefty, so of course his guitar is flipped the other way. But what you'll notice about his picking hand is that it's planted. Okay, so what that means is that instead of coming up and over like the classical guitar position, you see all those crazy wild finger picker like classical players on nylon string guitars do, where their hands are floating. Okay, and this is typically where a lot of people think that how they should be picking. But I'm telling you that if you actually get your right hand planted, and again, you'll see Paul McCartney do this. It's not just something that I do and that I made up. You'll actually see pros do this as well, is to get that right hand planted on the bridge. So the bridge is really this part in the acoustic guitar. All guitars have them, whether it's an electric guitar or a Fender style, Gibson style bridge, acoustic style bridge. But yeah, so this dark piece of wood is really the bridge. Or well, actually the bridge is technically just this one little piece, this white piece, but this whole section we'll just refer to as the bridge of the guitar. And sure enough, there's a little curvature here on the bridge. And often what I do is I use the heel of my hand, okay, this section of my hand, to rest right there. And it's pretty comfortable. You can kind of like rest your upper arm, like in the crease of your elbow there on the back of the acoustic. And then you've got this little section on the bridge where you can rest your hand. And what that's immediately going to do is provide essentially 1, 2 stability points for your arm and your hand so that you can play the notes more accurately, more steadily, and just have more control over your finger picking hand. And the second ground rule that you want to get going on with your finger picking is to actually just grab, actually you don't even need to grab any chord. I was going to suggest an E major chord, but you can actually do this, it's basically an E minor chord, and it's the classic intro to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. And this is a great little sequence to practice, because it's going to give you that dexterity on your right hand or your picking hand. So all I'm doing there is just hitting my E string, G string, B string, E string, and then going down on my B string and back on my G string. But what you'll notice is I'm using very particular fingers. So almost always on the low strings, you're going to be using your thumb, kind of like on the E, A, and sometimes D string. And then on the top strings, you're going to be using your three fingers. Not often are you ever going to use your pinky. You kind of utilize your thumb, 1, 2, 3 fingers. And this is a great little sequence that you can just practice even if you're watching TV or zoning out. You see my hand is braced on the guitar, and we talked about it being back on the bridge, but on acoustic. And so that works. But you'll see that I can also just brace my hand on the guitar, just kind of anywhere. So it's kind of cool when you get closer to the sound hole, because it's a little warmer when you strum back like up here in comparison to back there, right? Very different tonally. And the same thing works for your fingers, like if you're picking back here compared to here, you just get a warmer sound. So it just kind of depends what you're going for. But yeah, so with my thumb, oftentimes it's kind of like I'm picking up almost towards the ceiling, or just like away from the guitar is my thumb movement here. Because that's when you get your right hand planted and on that heel and kind of on the thumb area, then you're gonna get that thumb kind of plucking the string away from the guitar, okay? So anyways, so that's kind of the ground rule that you want to get going on with your finger picking, is just utilizing and getting that dexterous movement with your right hand. And that's a great little sequence for you to practice, okay? So that's the intro to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. And yeah, you'll see for yourself when you check out that tune. And then yeah, you can speed it up. And just work on that. That's going to give you awesome control with your right hand. So getting back to Blackbird, we've got 10 on the A string, 12th fret on the B string. Of course, this is after this intro section. And what you'll notice is right after that intro, after that last shape down on the 2nd and 3rd frets, what you're going to want to do is just slide both those fingers right up to the 10th and 12th fret. Okay, don't lift off your fingers, and you'll even hear it in the track. It's got that kind of motion. He kind of plucks those strings as they're sliding up to get that sound, okay? And sure enough, it will just line up these fingers so you don't have to do extra work. So what you'll see here in the tab is, and again, you can grab that tab in the description below, but what that looks like is this. And you just stop right there. Now that sequence right there, you might want to pause, rewind, and just set up your mouse so you can just click it and just watch that over and over and over. But check it out. So we pinched 10 and 12 at the same time, okay? Then you're gonna hit your G string with your first finger. So you'll notice that I'm hitting my thumb and my second finger because I want to line up that first finger for that G. So that's the very first movement there. Okay, so you just want to cycle that. Okay, so we got pinching both of those guys, G string, and then we've got 12, 10, 12, 0. Okay? And then all you're going to want to do is just sit on that and repeat it. Don't even worry about any of the other bits of the song. Just sit there, and eventually once you get it slow and in this particular rhythm, see there's kind of like a little bit of a break before you restart. So that's kind of a nice thing about this little phrase. Like rhythmically speaking, we get a little stop at the end. So nice and slow, and then we'll do a continuous flow and slowly speed it up. Here we go. So ready, go. So that's the right idea there. And so exactly just like that, you're just gonna want to sit on that, repeat it at a steady tempo until you feel like it's solid, and then bump it up. And this is a great thing to do with the metronome, by the way. And pretty much any guitarist who's serious is gonna log in some time with a metronome. So that's a big reminder on that and what you can do with this track. And this is after this intro, which is pretty straightforward if you just follow the tab. It's just really all about memorizing these shapes. So this first one's super easy, just one finger, and then you just hit the G string in between. Here's the next shape, one finger, G string in between. Here's the third shape, right? And then what you'll want to do is just grab this shape and slide the whole thing up to the 10th and 12th fret, okay? Same strings. It works out beautifully, and sure enough, you hear it in the actual track. It sounds something like this. You know, you kind of hear a little bit of that slide, and then sure enough, it lines your fingers right up on the 10th and 12th frets. So now here's an interesting thing about this section. What I've done is I've just taken a little sample of Blackbird. I've slowed it down to about 50%, and also I've actually changed the tuning on it just slightly, because a lot of times, and this is a very common thing in 1960s songs, was a lot of times they were just tuning their guitar to maybe the piano that was in the room or just by ear. So they weren't actually really using electronic tuners like we're so fortunate to have access to these days. And so, so I've just tuned it up by 32 cents. And it's not exact, but it's a little bit more in tune with a standard tuned guitar. So check this out. I'm going to go ahead and press play on this loop for you to take a listen. What I'm trying to show you there is that, yes, it sounds like Blackbird when you play the individual notes, but what you'll notice is there's kind of this brush stroke going on, and it's actually not a super accurate, repeatable phrase like I just showed you, okay? The way that Paul McCartney would have played this on the original recording is something more like this. So instead of individually, he's kind of like hitting the extra strings, and it's very possible that he was really just using his thumb and first finger. And I find that something like that actually sounds more like the loop that we're hearing here. So again, I'll press play, and you'll notice, and you want to use your ears as closely as you can to the just how it isn't really individual notes. There's more than one string happening at the same time. So here it goes. So of course that's that slide. So just keep that in mind when you're learning this track, that although we have it tabbed out, and a lot of times, you'll learn this track with it individually picked like that. However, as you can hear with that short little sample, that really there's some other strings going on, and it's not really like a super accurate, detailed finger picking pattern that I think a lot of people think that Blackbird is. So it's actually a little bit looser than a lot of people really think. Okay, and actually I saw something, Paul McCartney said that people teach him how to play Blackbird. They say, no, that's not how it goes like this, right? So anyways, I just wanted to show you that actual clip from the recording so that you can check it out for yourself. Okay, so now the next part that I like to teach is you can just cycle that intro, because it does cycle it twice. So of course you can just loop that part over and over and over. And particularly what we want to do is focus in on this part and just get that picking pattern down, which we've talked about in this lesson already. Now the next part sounds like this. Okay, now what I like to do is actually, when I teach this song, I like to skip that little section and go right to this part. The reason we're going to skip that section in the lesson for now is because this next section is going to use the exact same picking pattern that we just talked all this time about. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is just get these shapes down, and this part is actually super easy with your left hand. Okay, so we've got 3rd fret, 5th fret, A string, and the B string, which is, hey, really similar to the 10th and 12th fret, but down on 3 and 5. And then you're gonna just put your 2nd finger right in behind it, 1 fret down on the B string to the 4th, and then we're just gonna move this shape down both frets at the same time, okay? We move over to the A string open and the B string on the 2nd fret, and then 1 fret down, okay? So you can see that, yes, it's gonna require some memorization. Yes, you're gonna have to work your way through that tab, or just pause this video right now and rewind and work through that part. And we're really just back to the intro, but it does do a, it kind of like revisits this part. Again, it almost presses the reset button, but does a little skip. Okay, so really similar shapes the second time through. However, we start on 3 and 5, just like we did. But instead of that shape, we're gonna skip right down to 2 and 3. Okay, and again, it's all in the A string and B string, so it's super easy in that sense. And then we just go right into our picking pattern here. Picking pattern there, which is exactly the same as the first time around. And then back to our intro. Okay, so this part is beautiful in the sense that as long as you get that right hand picking down, and then yes, you're gonna have to memorize these shapes. However, then you just add in the picking pattern and add in the pinches where necessary and appropriate, and you'll find yourself, even if you're working your way through the tab all by yourself, you'll see that it's actually, you'll get this pretty quickly, okay? So let's just work through that part nice and slow. So we got something like this. So again, just really using that, whatever picking pattern that you memorize, whether it's with a little brush stroke, and that maybe it's that exact combination that you'll find in the PDF download and the tab that we'll provide for you in this lesson. Whatever it is that exact same thing. Okay, so you don't even really have to worry about the tab, just really worry about what's happening with your fretting hand, okay? And the right hand just kind of goes on autopilot. So here we go, 3 and 5 on the A and B string. We just get that picking pattern going and the pinches, and here goes the shapes. Ready, go. So that shape right there, maybe press pause, rewind, get that PDF download, print it out in front of you, or manage your windows so you can see the tab and this video. Okay, work through those sections. And what you'll notice, again, once you get whatever kind of iteration of that with your right hand, then it's the exact same thing for that entire section of the song. Okay? Now let's talk about the middle section. So we've got our intro, and we skip this part because we went right to this part. Because it's so connected to that intro and the exact same thing with our right hand. Now let's talk about this section. So the cool thing and the thing that you want to memorize about these shapes is that you're actually just ascending up from the 3rd fret. Take these broken eyes and learn to fly. Okay? And what that looks like is this. So we've got this shape, which is a major 3rd. And then, like I said, we're just going to ascend up. However, you're going to want to hit this 2nd finger there and your 1st finger there. So just work on this section. And the cool thing is that it actually is the exact same thing, just, you know, it's going up 1 fret at a time, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got. And that little section right there is what you want to practice. And all you're going to do is throw it a G string in between each. So, okay, so that's just pinch, G string. So again, you're going to want to pinch with your thumb and your 2nd finger, and then hit that open G string with your 1st finger, okay? And then same thing, pinch, and then hit that open G string with your 1st finger. And the exact same thing, just on the next couple frets higher. Okay? So just cycle that. Now, here we are. We're in this minor 3rd position. We've got our 1st finger on the 7th fret, 3rd finger, or some people like to use their 2nd finger. I just like to use my 3rd finger here. And then we're back to the pattern, guys, okay? That right hand sequence that we've talked so much about. So here it is right there. Okay, so just 1 fret movement down, whatever right hand sequence that you got with the brush stroke or the exact tab or whatever, get that going on. And then that's just a 1 fret movement down with your 1st finger. And then we've just got another couple of big steps, but they're exact same shapes as we just went over with that climbing sequence. But now we're descending down, so we're going to go 5, G string, 4, and we've got our 2nd and 1st finger there, okay? And that's what we call, or I'm going to call, the 2nd or middle section of Blackbird in today's lesson. Because now we're going to go into that 3rd section, which we've already gone over. Okay, so I know I'm kind of shuffling the parts around here a little bit, but I would suggest learning it in that sequence. Learn this 1st section. You can see I'm just kind of like free-forming that. It sounds like Blackbird, you know, and you'll do a little brush stroke, get some other strings in there, follow the tab, you will figure it out, okay? And then, so once you get that down, get that right hand down, okay, and just stop there. Like, don't even worry about the other parts until you master that. Just... right, just sit there over and over and over, or just hit that sequence over and over just on the 10th and 12th frets. Okay, and then we're going to skip that second section and work on this section, because then we've got these shapes, but we don't do too much crazy action with our left hand. And again, it's all about that right hand sequence, which you'll have practiced at that point. Okay, so then you're going to go down. And then you're just back to the sequence again. Now there is another section, the chorus, where it goes, Blackbird fly into the na 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 na, right? And that will be tabbed out for you. Exact same, similar ideas with the right hand and the left hand. All that stuff is going to be dialed in once you get these other sections down. Okay? And of course, that second section we talked about is going to be right here with this 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? But we're going to be switching. And then a 1-finger movement. And then slide that whole thing down 1 fret. Okay, so it's really all about alternating these guys. This is another sequence that you want to practice, is just ascending 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so Blackbird definitely takes a little bit of practice. However, I think that you'll see for yourself, once you get some of these basics and some of these finger picking ground rules and just get that picking pattern in. And then of course, we had this sample for you here where you can hear there's a little brush, right? Okay, so work with this tab that will provide you, work through this lesson. Of course, listen to the original. Listen to it in headphones, really zoom in on that guitar part. So hopefully you enjoyed this lesson, got something out of it. Of course, get that PDF download for the tabs below. If you like this video, definitely give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below with any questions or comments. And also there's a subscribe bell that you can hit as well, because we're actually uploading and releasing 2 lessons per week right now. And the theme right now is the 1960s songs. So definitely hit that bell so you can get notified when we release a new video. We're going live on the YouTube channel on Wednesdays, and then releasing a YouTube video periodically through the week. And for you beginners out there, make sure to check out my 5-minute guitar system. This is a book that will ship right to your door, and you can get access to the compatible video course. The whole package is valued at $140. We just ask that you pay the shipping of the book, and that's it. Everything else is free. It's my goal to help you guys and help the world get some more music and guitar in their lives, and it's been going really well so far. And of course, if you want to check out our other courses, we have a blues course, acoustic course, a rock course, a 1960s course, which is, you know, definitely lending to today's lesson, and one-on-one webcam lessons. So definitely get in touch with us at Campfire Guitar Star. You'll find all the information for that in the description below. And until the next lesson, keep on ripping it up.